welcome. I had to drop my cup of tea there, Connor. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode. Second one round. He's getting less nervous now, Connor. How are you feeling? Welcome back.
Feeling excellent, mate. Yeah, happy to be here once again. I mean, you say about nerves. I don't feel any nerves, mate. Made of steel. Don't know about you. I can tell you're dropping your tea already, so you got the shaking.
Yeah, I was shaking already. But the Premiership started. Arsenal buy Ben White, and they're still shite. Right, so it was. We'll come to that game. What a start for Thomas Frank. He was definitely on the hot sauce today. Excuse the pun, but we'll go. We'll go straight into it. Today, guys. We're gonna cover as much as we can within the hour. I know people are popping off with fantasy football, but there's loads to cover. We'll talk about fantasy football. There's a couple of nuggets or three that I want to put in. If you want to put these players in your team, one's already made an impact tonight. I wish we did the show yesterday. There will be, unfortunately, no Jessica from She Knows Football. She Knows Arsenal. She's not available. She was meant to be joining us from 2 till 2:30, but unfortunately, and it's not because of Arsenal losing, she got her times mixed up. So unfortunately, she probably won't be able to make it. But hey, you're stuck with the two of us. Connor, how are we? How's your week been? I know you're in a bit of a good mood, so shall we get we'll get the main news out of the way. The main news, which is Virgil van Dijk signs a new contract till 2025. Great news. I know it's not the news that most Liverpool fans want to hear right now, if I can say that, because they want transfers in and players in, and it's all popping off on our Twitter handles and whatnot. But it's great news that, look, we've got Van Dijk tied in for another 4 years and beyond. I think he'll stay here till 35, 36. I think he's that good. I think even when he approaches sort of the latter years of his career, he will still be a top defender, defending against the best young players. So I wanted to ask you your views on Virgil, because I know in 2017 you lot were strongly linked with him as well, along with Man City, but he did choose us. But what have you made of his impact at Liverpool? Do you think he's an awesome sort? Do you think he literally? Well, we know that he's been a game changer, but what's the view of him from the outside, especially from you boys on Kings Road?
Yeah, with regards to Virg, I don't think there's a huge amount that can be said about him that hasn't already been said. I mean, he's an absolute colossus of a defender, of a man, of a unit, of a presence. You know, this guy has such an impact on the pitch whenever he steps on it. For the rest of the team, he's a huge presence within the team. I was disappointed when we didn't get him, but I didn't think he'd go on to have the impact and the sort of meteoric rise, if I can use that cliche, that he has had since he joined Liverpool. I'd probably go as far as to say he's the best centre-back that I've ever watched. And that's coming from a Chelsea fan who watched John Terry. Yeah, I'm putting my unbiased.
So forget John Terry. So we're talking about Marcel Well, you maybe not have been in that era, but Marcel Desailly, Frank Leboeuf. You had John Terry. You had Frank Sinclair. You won't remember. He wasn't too bad.
It's difficult because
Carvalho, you're putting him already beyond sort of Carvalho levels.
Oh,
beyond
Ricky Carvalho, what a player. But I mean, there's two different elements to the argument here. There's sort of pinnacle of performance here, or there's longevity, and no one comes close to John Terry in terms of longevity. I mean, this guy was at the top of the game in European teams of the year after year after year, from I don't know when he came into the Chelsea side around '98. So that's the year I was born. Captaining us from sort of 2001, 2002, and he stayed with us until 2016. I mean, that's unheard of in terms of longevity at a top club. But in terms of peak performance, I've never seen anything from a centre-back like Virg in sort of 2017, 2018. That sort of had 3 years, 4 years where it was just absolute dominance of any centre forward he came up against.
So you're classifying him as better than Nemanja Vidic, because we get a lot of comparisons with Nemanja Vidic, but Vidic, when he came against us, he would make shocking mistakes. Fernando Torres in his pocket every game that they virtually played. But Rio Ferdinand, so there's been some top defenders, Connor, and you're actually saying, and you're stating that in your lifetime, I know you're still a pup, but you're saying Van Dijk is the absolute best that you've seen.
Yes, to answer your question simply. Going back to Vidic, I think he gets a bit of unnecessary flack And especially, you know, the whole Fernando Torres comparison, you know, them being matched up against each other. I think Fernando Torres only scored 3, maybe 4 goals up against Vidic. It was just that one performance at Old Trafford. Vidic slipped, you know, the one where United lost, was it 4-0, 4-1? I think it's 4-1, wasn't it? And Desena scored that chip. But I think he gets a bit of unnecessary flack, and people make these sort of disaster reels on Twitter nowadays that are getting shared around of, you know, hilarious mistakes. But if you watch Vidic in his prime, you know, he was an imperious defender, and there's no saying otherwise. Personally, I'd put Rio ahead of him. I'd put Ricky Carvalho ahead
at the moment.
What do you mean at the moment? They're both retired, you melon.
Okay.
Rio, yeah, and I'd say Rio Ferdinand, Ricky Carvalho ahead of Vidic and John Terry. But I'd still, in terms of peak performance, I'd have Verge ahead of a lot of them, really. I think he just adds so much to his game in terms of playing out from the back. John Terry probably on a similar level to him. I mean, this guy could ping first-time passes with his left peg to find his man moving forward. He was a very underrated ball player. For me, Verge is right at the top.
See, I don't want to be biased, but honestly, and I've watched a hell of a lot of football, and I've seen great players come through. You know, Chiellini, some Yap Stam, who was phenomenal, but Verge, he's the total package, Connor. He is the total package. His tackling, the pace, that, you know, famous clip when Mbappe tries to outpace him, his positioning from that offset, and he just caught up with him and blocks the shot. He's a monstrous player. And look, he's been here for 3-4 years now, and we've been into 2 European Cup finals. We've won the league. We've become world champions. And, you know, unfortunately, last season, if he had stayed fit, I think we would have won the league. I think we would have walked it again. But no, I'm looking forward to a fresh Van Dijk. I think he starts tomorrow against Norwich. We did a preview yesterday. I think he will start tomorrow alongside Matip. Do you think a lot of clubs now, top clubs out there, like the Manchester United, like the Chelseas, like the not in their current plight, but Real Madrid, do they look for a Van Dijk now? A defender who can actually pass the ball, who can come out with the ball, who can ping 30, 40 yards passes like comfortably. Are teams looking for that more in the game, or is he just a complete rarity?
Of course, and you're always going to have that. You're always going to have people saying, "No, he's the next so and so. He's the next Messi." How many players have we heard the label "he's the next Messi"? And I think it's a testament to Van Dijk's ability that we are seeing these up and coming centre backs place the label on them that says, "Oh, he's the next Van Dijk." Got a youngster at Chelsea coming through, Xavier Mbuyamba. He's another. I think his nationality probably draws those comparisons a bit more. Young Dutch lad, 6'4", you know, physically imposing. So maybe that's drawn those comparisons. But I think, yeah, it's a testament to the player that Van Dijk is, that clubs are clearly going out and looking for those qualities to recruit in up and coming centre backs to find that next Van Dijk. But ultimately, looking at the market right now, there really isn't a Van Dijk out there. Well, the Van Dijk that we know, we have to consider this guy's had a lengthy layoff with a significant injury. How do you think he comes back from this? Because for me, I think he struggles in certain aspects. You know, the ACL injury typically has an impact on your burst. You know, Van Dijk, not that he's reliant on his speed. He's a pacey centre back along the ground, and it does impair your ability to burst in a jump. You know, I think maybe against physical centre back, someone like Calvert-Lewin, Chris Wood. You know, will he struggle against those? Do you reckon?
You know, if we had rushed him, and I'm talking in the sense of if he had rushed himself, because I know he went out to Dubai for his physio stuff. A well-renowned doctor that many will know, Richard Stedman, he sort of has a doctor with him, like an assistant, who went out to Dubai and was working with Virgil. And I thought at that time, during the February-March time, I think Virgil will want to go to the Euros, you know. I think he wants to make it into this De Boer's squad, because it will be his first international tournament. If I stand corrected, I don't think they've not participated in the World Cup. So this would have been Virgil's first tournament. And I was feeling like, you know what, I think he might push himself. But it was a correct decision in the end. Stayed back. He looks fresh. He looks as if he's taken his time. I think the management, the structure around him, I think they've looked after him. I think he'll be fine, Connor. I think because of the confidence that he has, and I think he'll allude to the last 3 years when he's been playing for Liverpool prior to the injury, I think he'll know that he will slot back in. He's looked a little bit rusty in the friendlies, but that's normal. I'd rather he be rusty now than when the crunch time sort of hits, like when game time 1 starts tomorrow. But I think he'll be totally fine. You talk about physicality like the Chris Woods. I don't think that will trouble him. I think maybe a few sort of nippy, tricky players might trouble him at first. So tomorrow, Josh Sargent, I'm not sure if he will start, but
oh, come on, Josh Sargent.
No, he's a good player. He's a good player. Only because he's American. Only because he's American. No, but he's got a bit about him. Like, Virgil's first 25 minutes tomorrow, they could be crucial. As long as he settles and he's fine and he's leading that back four, he'll be totally fine. But Norwich have got some good players around it. They've brought, I think, Solis, the Greek winger who can play as a 10. Milot Rashica, I think they got from German. Rashica, there you go. He's another good talent. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. I think the first sort of 15, 20 minutes, once he's settled, I think he'll find it in his stride. I think he'll be fine. Great comments. And guys, please keep the comments coming in. The ladies and gentlemen, please keep, pumping the comments in. Kev O'Sullivan, one of the regulars, I think he's doing the watch along tomorrow. God bless you, Kevin, for tomorrow. But this is the business we couldn't do before. The likes of Van Dijk would have been poached by others and not anymore. And Conor, I think that's key because the likes of Coutinho, Suarez, even before then Fernando Torres were getting poached, sort of at their peak by clubs like yourselves who'd come in and just sort of take them away from us. But now these players genuinely believe in the project. And I think that's what we've got to, remember that, look, Klopp will be gone in 2024, but there's players who believe that this system will go on beyond. So whoever comes in, they will settle in. And this system will be successful for the next sort of 5 to 10 years. And that's why they're committing. And they know that we're going places, and Klopp has that belief from everyone. He has that love from everyone. And he, reciprocates that back as well to the players. And they believe in him. And any player that believes in the coach and the methods, why would they want to leave? There's a lot of talk of, I don't want to say it, but Kylian Mbappe and his contract situation at PSG. And I'm sure he's got loads of offers on the table, but he's got to look at what's the best opportunity for him to go and develop his game even further. So, I'm not saying anything about Mbappe because we've talked about him well enough, so much in the last 3-4 months. But yeah, Virgil is staying great, sort of, Virgil's staying, so that's great news for us.
And I think Dean raises a good point as well. I like Dean. I've had a couple conversations with him on Twitter Spaces a couple of times. Knowledgeable fella, knows his stuff. He said he doesn't think the injury will hold him back as much as it might have done in years gone by because the sort of medical understanding around ACLs and that recovery for them has advanced so much in the last couple of years that it's not the severe injury that it used to be. Obviously, it has the lengthy layoff, but like you said, the advances in modern sports science mean that the recovery time is reduced and the ability to sort of rediscover the form that a player previously had is much easier to accomplish than, say, with other injuries, for example, like an Achilles rupture or something like that, which is very, very difficult to do when compared with an ACL.
Yep, and Kevin O'Sullivan, again, 9 months is the recommended recovery time for his injury. He was back 1 day short of 9 months. So, his recovery's gone well as expected. It's normal time. And look, let's see if he's ready for tomorrow. Some great comments coming in tomorrow. One from Raj Sharma, Van Dijk to score tomorrow. Oh, that would be absolutely amazing if he could. Red Steve, I think he's got a comment as well before the injury. No, Dan Bailey, evening Dan, one of the regulars. Before the injury, Van Dijk was never at full tilt. He will be fine. So yeah, we can definitely discuss that. There's a comment about your mic, bad sound.
Sorted.
If you want to
let me know, people.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. That's brilliant.
Can you hear me clearly now?
Yep, you're coming in.
It's coming through the headphones ahead of the mic.
Loud and clear. So the next one we're going to go into today, the first Premiership game of the season. Brentford 2, Arsenal 0. Canos cracker. I was hoping that Jess would join us for this so we could give her a bit of slack. But what a performance. What a performance. It was a good game by Brentford. They set up their stall. Thomas Frank reminds me very much similar in terms of his characteristics, his personality in getting the crowd, geeing the crowd up, getting them ready. I thought he was good. Sergi Canos, Conor, I've mentioned him beforehand, but he's one player.
He's one of your lads, isn't he?
He
One
was.
of your
He
lads.
was in our academy. Him alongside. So he was brought in from Barcelona, where he came from the La Masia Academy, and it was actually on the advice of Pep's number 2, Rodolfo Borrell, who's at City, who said, "Go and get this fellow." When Rodolfo Borrell was at Liverpool, so he came alongside Pedro Chiravella, if I'm not mistaken. But this player, he had a bad knee injury. He was out on loan to Brentford, then he got transferred to Norwich, and then he got transferred. Then he sort of moved to Brentford again, and that's where he's found his place. And under Thomas Frank, he's been a very good player. He played really well last season. He's a player again today. I know he's coming from the right wing back position, but he scored his goal actually from the left, and he's a very good player. He reminds me similar to, and he's not on that level yet, guys. So, but a hot take, but he reminds me of a lot of Danny Olmo in him. He can play in various positions and excel in different positions as well. But what did you think of the game? What do you think of Arteta? What do you think of this? I thought it would have been a vibrant youthful Arsenal team, but it's the same old sort of. There was nothing going for them. There was no tempo. There was no ingenuity in the play. There was no. They hardly taking chances. He gave Florian Balogun a chance, a kid who I'm looking forward to because I know he's from New York and whatnot, but he's pledged his allegiance to England, and there's a lot of interest even from Liverpool in the last sort of 15 months, Dortmund as well, but they just didn't get going today, did they?
No, not at all. I mean, with Arsenal, it's indicative of the descent that the club has had. They've bought some bad players. Their transfer strategy seems to be all over the place, signing players, free agents like Cedric and Willian, David Luiz, players that they thought might fill gaps. When you're trying to build a quality squad, you don't buy to fill gaps. You buy to improve your team, and then you fill the gaps by demoting players who are therefore replaced. And I think Chris has mentioned it in the comments. Arsenal have, for a long, long time, been a team that lacks that fight, that passion. And we talk about it all the time, and it's a bit overstated, the need for passion and the need for sort of desire and all those sort of intangibles. But they're incredibly important. And you look at Arsenal and their current recruitment, Ben White, albeit a good player with some quality, characteristics about him. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's composed. He can play out from the back. He's got a good range of passing. But I don't think he provides the presence, like we're talking about with Verge, the presence that solidifies that back line, that provides that bit of steel that they need. Every top quality side that's won a league has had a spine, and Arsenal have lacked a spine. I mean, they got scoliosis, their spine. They've consistently for the last couple of years have been so poor in their recruitment, and that's held them back. Brentford, conversely, I think they were quality.
But Conor, why is that? Because they brought in Sven Mislintat. Someone
yeah.
From Dortmund.
I was disappointed with him as well. He brought in Aubameyang, fine.
But is that restrictions? Is that restrictions from Kroenke and the board up saying, look, these are how much money you have? No. We don't have the resource to go out and buy players. Or do you just think it's lack of recruitment? Is it scouting? Is the scouting not up to scratch?
I think a bit of
Can we look at the talent pool and say picking up the right talents?
I think it's just not cohesive. I think if you want to improve the recruitment of your team, you need cohesion. You need from top to bottom to be aligned, right? And that's why Liverpool have done such a great job, because yes, there were disagreements between Klopp and Edwards in terms of the players that recommended. I know Klopp wanted Julian Brandt and Edwards wanted Mo Salah, and there was that sort of difference of opinion, but eventually they became aligned. I think at Arsenal, it seems like there is one overriding voice, and they make the decisions. You've got Edu at the moment, who's brought in David Luiz and brought in Willian, players like that. And then previously, when you had Mislintat, he's not there anymore. He's bringing in Socrates, and he was bringing in Aubameyang. There was one more shocker that they brought in. I mean, they brought in Mkhitaryan. I
actually thought that deal might have worked. That Mkhitaryan Sanchez deal, I thought that could have worked for them, but again, didn't get settled. Let me ask this question then to you, Conor. Do you reckon Mikel Arteta is the right man? Do you think it was a job too soon for him in his sort of development in his career? Do you think he should have made that jump? I can understand why he took it, being an Arsenal player, ex-player. He must have learned a lot from Pep. And he does seem as if a manager who can go on to become a very good manager. I mean, I know he delivered the FA Cup. I know they beat us in the Charity Shield. But is he a manager that can get the best out of this Arsenal team? Or do you think that his time could be up, say, Christmas time?
Yeah, I think with Arteta, there has been nothing other than a successful cup run that's indicated that he's the man for the job. I don't really like this comparison because he's a legend and he's one of my Chelsea heroes. But you can see the parallels with Frank Lampard. I think ultimately Frank Lampard's a better manager. He created better numbers. He created a more cohesive team that put in better performances.
Yeah, but he had more money there as well. Come on.
Yeah,
apart from that ban, he had money. Come on.
Exactly. He came in with the transfer
your
ban.
Arsenal. Come on.
Exactly. That first season, that was a quality performance from him to get us into the top four with the squad that he had. You know, he's bringing back a couple low knees, and he had Pedro and Willian as his attacking, force. And then Arteta is consistently underachieved. I think with Arteta, it's because he's the trendy manager with the slick back hair. He's worked under Guardiola, and he says the right things. He talks about tactical sort of variations.
He's got a bit of Brendan about him, hasn't he? Brendan talks a smart game, especially when he was at Liverpool. Talked a smart game about philosophy and this is the way we've got to play football and whatnot. But like for me, that must have been a crap. What do you call it when you try to do something, when you speak over, when you put an accent on? Sorry, that was a pathetic accent of Brendan. But he talks a bit like a smart game. And these young managers, I think that's what it is, Connor. They try to speak a smart game, but they don't succeed. And I think Arteta is in that same position. Laura Duffy makes a great point. Arsenal problems run deep. It's true. The guy they brought in, Bachai, the fella who's, I think, director now or technical director, I don't think he's equipped to do a job at that level. I think there's question marks, obviously, with Stan and his son, Josh Kroenke. Then you've got Edu, who was smoking cigars just 2 weeks ago out in Marbella on a yacht and whatnot and on these jet skis. I don't think they have a plan of succession. I think they are literally stuck and don't know what to do. You get rid of Arteta now. What about the players that he's brought on? Like, they've got Lokonga and they've brought in Ben White. And I thought Ben White was such a... If I'm Ben White and I'm going to Arsenal, I would look at the whole picture. And there's talks of James Maddison, but these young players should be looking at, why would I want to go Arsenal now? What can I change? And you've thrown literally Ben White into the deep end. And today he looked very, very short. He didn't look impressive. There was a moment where I think it was Ivan Toney or the other fellow who was playing alongside him who just turned him inside out. And today wouldn't have done his confidence, no good, because he's 22, 21.
Yeah, he's a young player, but Tony's a good player. He's very good at pinning his centre back. And I think he did a good job at that today. I mean, we focus a lot on Arsenal and their shortcomings, but I think Brentford put in a really quality performance. I think there were a couple of players that really impressed me. I think Onyeka, I think his name is, Nigerian centre midfielder, full of energy, full of pressing. I think he absolutely dominated the game, both defensively and offensively.
There was a centre back, Christophe Ager, who came from Celtic. We were linked with him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We were supposedly linked with him, but I thought he done really well. I thought he was fine. I mean, he didn't really get trouble today. Let's just let's not forget that he didn't really get trouble, but he looked quite assuring. His passing was fine. Mm-hmm. I thought Rico Henry looked good. Rico Henry.
Yeah, I like that. Adding the French little twist in there, make it more exotic.
Rico Henry, I thought he looked good. But Arsenal, when you look at the players like Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Pepe, Pepe's just don't know what's happened to him. He was a talent at Lille, but it just hasn't worked out for him. Lokonga, you do expect more, but I don't know. Do you see them finishing in the top 7, top 8? I would have said tops. Beginning of the season, I thought they should have been pushing for 6th, but I really can't see that, Connor. I really can't see that.
I'd have them in 7th or 8th, probably. I mean, they finished in 8th the last 2 seasons, so maybe it's time that we realise that is their new home. That's their caliber at the moment. I will say, I think Lokonga is a brilliant signing. I think he's looked really good. I watched a few clips of him at Anderlecht, not claiming to tune into Anderlecht weekly, but I've watched a few clips of him. He looks like the type of player who could come in and do a really good job. And I thought he grew into the game today. But other than that, their recruitment seems off. Their squad composition is weird. They've got accumulation in different positions. They've got, Chambers, Bellerin and Cedric at right back. And they just have glaring holes elsewhere on the pitch. They've only got Smith Rowe as a 10 because they've lost Odegaard. Maybe they'll re-sign him, but there's talks of that for 40 million. Again, it's indicative of a huge, huge problem And I don't think there's any planning. You mentioned it was succession planning. I don't think they have that. I think the best run clubs have clear planning and clear structures. Chelsea, Liverpool, City, they're the front runners in English football at the moment. And it's because they have clear structures and clear plans of how to move forward. And Arsenal simply don't.
And it's like Reg Steve says, Arsenal remind him of us a decade ago. I think he's hit the nail on the head. We were an absolute mess towards the last year of Benitez, Hicks and Gillette. Then we brought in Jim Broughton and Christian Purslow to, sort out a sale for the club. And then we had Hodgson. It was such an ugly period for our football club. It didn't represent anything that, what we were about, Liverpool Football Club. And Arsenal are going, in that same trajectory. They've got a fantastic stadium. They had that Wenger's legacy. I just think the appointments have been shocking. I for one don't think Emery got enough time, Connor. And I don't want to spend too much time on Arsenal, but I really didn't think he got enough time. And the time that he did have, it just seems that he was on a constant struggle with the fans. They didn't really, come on board with his sort of ethos and his sort of, his planning. I don't think the board helped him. And then obviously Lundberg takes over for 3-4 games before Arteta. Yeah, before Arteta gets the
gig.
That was
hilarious, wasn't it?
I think, it was. I think they only won one in 7, 8.
1 in 4, I think. I think he drew the first 3 games, or lost 1, drew 3, won 1, or something. It was a horrendous record. Whatever.
And they've made Arteta manager, and again, it just seems nothing's okay. He won the FA Cup, and everyone's on a bounce and stuff, but there's nothing there, is there? There's nothing there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the course of the next sort of 6-7 weeks, leading up to Christmas, to see if Arteta, can get a tune out of these. Boys, there's a super chat coming from Michael Lee. Thank you, Michael Lee, one of the Twitter regulars. Hi, Avy. Last week on your show, Grizz came on with Hendo news and Saul news. Not much since. Have we any updates or any other transfer updates? We will be going through the transfers in a bit about, a few clubs who have done really good business. So we'll be talking about that. At the moment, I do not have any concrete Hendo news or Saul news. All we've got, which was came out early this morning, was about Virgil van Dijk. But thank you. Ratan Muti has made a great point on Matthew Benham, who's the chairman of Brentford. He's a sports gambler, sports trader. Guys, go and read. It's on my Twitter. You don't need to follow me, but you can go on my Twitter. He's one of the second stories that I tweeted. It's a retweet from a time back. He was a sports trader, Connor. And there's an article by Joe Pompiliano about how he sort of looks at statistics, how he became such a successful sports trader, and how he got to the position that he did as chairman of Brentford. But it's been that's a club that looks stable, and they may stay up, but there's a succession plan. They've given Thomas Frank time because he missed out on the playoffs the season prior before they got up. So they've given him time. They've built a squad. Everything they recoup, they invest back in the team. They sell players. They got Ivan Toney. Yeah. Ivan Toney, I think they brought from Newcastle. I think even on a free. If someone wants to correct me, I think Laura Duffy's on the comments. Yeah, and he's probably available. You're looking at £30 million now. You're probably looking at 25-30 million pounds. So they've got a great business structure. Yeah,
they're sustainable.
Yeah. Let's not mention sustainable on here, especially with Liverpool fans. It's the going word over the side. It's going with the words.
They did the same thing with Ben Rama. They bought him very cheap, sold him very high to West Ham. They did the same thing with Ollie Watkins. He was at Brentford, absolutely prolific, and they sold him for, I think it was close to or above 30 million. They've got a sustainable model, and it's clearly bearing fruit because they've ended up in the Premier League a couple of years where they came very close, but now they're finally there. I have seen the stuff with Matthew Benham, and Kev makes a good point. Very Moneyball-esque, isn't he? Yeah, very much data-driven, data-oriented, and parallels between him and the approach that Liverpool have taken. But we can't dwell too long on Arsenal. We can't dwell too long on Brentford either. Let's move on to something else. Abby, topic, please.
Premier fixtures review for tomorrow. So few games, and I don't want to waste time on the games that no one's interested in. No disrespect, but we'll start off with the big one at 4:30 in the morning for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to... I probably will wake up for that game, to be honest, because I know Lille and Nice are playing shortly after that. But Manchester United versus Leeds United. Big game, derby. Mm-hmm. what do they call it? It's not. I know it's not Tyneside derby. It's not obviously the Merseyside derby. It's not the. Is it the Pennine derby? Someone wants to, Laura. If you want to.
Maybe the Roses derby, because there was the War of the Roses, Lancashire, Yorkshire.
No, it's
Lancashire.
not that. It's definitely not that. It's definitely not
come
that.
on, that would be a good name for it. If it wasn't.
Man United versus Leeds is a genuine derby. There's a name for it. Because I remember when Alan Smith switched over to Leeds, they had a it was called something derby, and that's when I got it, because when he made that switch. But Manchester United versus Leeds, what are your thoughts? What are your predictions? Do you think Leeds have recruited well? I know they got Junior Firpo in from Barca.
Mm-hmm.
United, obviously, we know what they've done with Varane and Jadon Sancho. Talk to me, Connor. War of the Roses. There you go. War of the Roses.
Who said it?
Mr. R. Allison. Thank you very much. War of the Roses. There you go. Quicker than Laura Duffy.
You got to start listening to me more.
Yeah. No. Fair enough. I'll let you have that one. Go on. Give me your thoughts. United versus Leeds.
I think it's going to be a great game, to be honest. The same as it was last season. I think the home game at Old Trafford finished. I think it's at Old Trafford, isn't it? This one, I believe so.
Yep, Old Trafford. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Old Trafford game last year, 6-2 it finished. I think
could have been 6-6. Could have been 6-6. So I was right. It was the Pennine derby. See, I'm not as dumb as people think. See, there you go.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Okay.
Starting to work now. Starting to turn. Chris Bragg makes a great point, because last season it could have been a 6-6 game. Bamford's missed an absolute sitters, 2-3 sitters easy. But what are your thoughts? What's your thinking for this one?
I can't see past United, to be honest. I know that Rashford's out, but I think they've got a huge potency in attack.
You think Sancho starts?
Greenwood. Yes, I think he does, because Rashford is out. And I think Rashford's injury will really allow Sancho to have a great start at United. I think if he was shoehorned into that right side of midfield, he'd struggle. Initially, anyway. I think Sancho's an exceptional player. And I think whatever system, role he's played in, league he's played in, team he plays in, he'll flourish. He's one of those. But I think Rashford's injury will allow.
So you've got no worries about Ollie then? You actually believe that Ollie will get the best out of Jadon in this?
No, he won't get the best out of him, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inept as a manager. But Jadon Sancho is one of those players who transcends systems, who transcends managers. Okay. He'll bang regardless, but I don't think he'll get the best out of him. But I think that if you want to get the best out of Sancho, you play him on the left. You give him so many more angles. I think he'll do a really great job. But I think, their potency in attack is too much. They've got Greenwood, who I think will really come into his own this season. Bruno Fernandes, I'm not too sold on him. And then I think they still need a starting 9. Whether they get Haaland next year, who knows? But I think, they've got too much to overwhelm.
You think United could go in for him next season?
I think they will undoubtedly go in for him. I think every top club in the world will go in for him. 75 million. This is we're talking about the next, head and shoulders above everyone else on the playing field. Number 9 in the world available for 70 million, which is relative pennies for these big clubs in today's day and age. So we'll see. But I think, United will definitely be in for him. Anyway, your prediction?
Scoreline?
3-1 United.
Okay. I've gone with the 1-1 draw. I think it will be a 1-1 draw. I fancy Leeds. The first game of the season, United's home record. I know they've got fans now as well, but I think United are going to look. I don't think they're going to look great tomorrow. I think Leeds will play well. They'll press well. They'll get off the traps very early, as we saw in the opening game of last season. They could have beaten us 4-3 or held us on for the 3-3. So I fancy Bielsa to get a result tomorrow. I think he signed a new contract as well. He's brilliant, isn't he? He just signs a 1-year rolling contract. And I think that's how players, they want security, but he just sort of keeps them on their toes, and the club on their toes. So they'll support him. I think that's brilliant it's a mastermind of him, really, that he does these rolling contracts, because he'll get the best out of the team, because they'll be like, what if he does leave? So, we don't want him to leave. So we'll, give our all in training. And the board will always be skeptical as well. This guy could walk out on us at the end of the season. So let's give him what he wants. So I think it's a pretty good ploy what he implements. But I think it'll be a 1-1. Quickly scouring through Burnley, Brighton.
I think it'll be a tight game. I think maybe a bit of a rogue prediction, a bit left field. But I think Burnley will probably outperform this season. I've seen a lot of people putting them in the relegation zone. I think Chris Wood, I mentioned it before in this pod, I think he'll get he got sort of 12 goals last year.
13, 14 goals, last season.
Yeah, I think he'll do the same again this year, and I think he would flourish in a better side. So I think Burnley scraping a 1-0 win here. Brighton again having their flurry of chances, but no one's converting because Neil Maupay is not good enough. But yeah, Burnley with me. And yourself?
Trossard. Lamptey's
Good
back,
player.
I think, as well.
Not
Lamptey's
back.
a good player.
Lamptey won't be fit.
He's from
we
your.
Sold him.
He's from your boys. Could have done a job.
Yeah.
It's just one of these games. I don't want to give it too much time. I think Brighton 1-0. 1-0. Dean S. Good point. Wood quietly gets his goals. Yeah, he just goes about his business. He's a good player. Another one from Olivia. Thank you for joining. Bielsa's a madman. He might quit before the match tomorrow. Brilliant. Leicester versus Wolves. Surely the way Wolves have operated this summer, you'd expect nothing but a Leicester win. Conor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they've recruited anyone outstanding. Leicester. I think Boubakary Soumare. Soumare. Yeah, I think he's going to be a good player for Leicester. I don't think he'll start straight away. I think they've got quality in midfield with Ndidi, Maddison, and Tielemans, which is probably one of the best midfield threes in the league. So yeah, I can't see past Leicester. They've got Harvey Barnes back fit and firing. Top player. I think he'll get a top move to a top 6 club in the next 2-3 years potentially. But yeah, can't see past Leicester.
What's the name that you just dropped?
Harvey Barnes.
You rate him then?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's difficult to find these, wingers who can play on both sides, cut in, cut out, provide goals, provide assists, and just provide a constant real threat. And I think he's got all of that in abundance.
How much would you pay for him, considering that he's British? What's the going rate for a player of Harvey Barnes? He's got 13 last season. I think he got 5 assists, had a good season beforehand, had a really good spell at West Brom where Klopp and the coaches took notice of him. But Harvey Barnes, what were you thinking? British tax, premium?
God. I mean, the going rate makes it very difficult, and Leicester are typically hard negotiators. So I think they'd be expecting about 70 million for him.
You think 70 million pounds?
I think they'd be expecting that much. Yeah, they placed that price. I'm not.
You've lost the plot. You've lost the fucking plot there. 70 million pounds for Harvey Barnes.
That's what they want. Yeah. 50
they can want all they want. 40, I think a deal,
50 million. I'd consider it. He's a good player.
I'm literally shocked here that you think that they all want us. I think 50 million gets a deal done for him.
They wanted 80 million for Ben Chilwell. He's a left back, for God's sake.
How much did you pay for Chilwell in the end? 65?
No, less than 50. Between 45 and 50.
Okay. I think 50 to 55 gets Harvey Barnes. 70. Would you say 75 or 70? What did you say?
I think they'd ask for 70, but they'd accept between 50 and 55, like you say.
I think 50 to 55 is more likely, but it'll be interesting to see because I know he had a bit of a nasty injury with the knee, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Trincao from Barcelona on loan. I believe it's an on loan deal. I think Dean, nice one for tuning in. I think he said it as well. Interested in Trincao, so it'll be interesting to see how Wolves get on. I know Nuno's left, but Raul Jimenez. I think it's great that he's back. I think he scored a couple of goals in his friendlies as well. But what's the scoreline tomorrow, Conor?
I'll say the same that I said for United Leeds. 3-1 to Leicester, with Dijk getting a hat-trick.
Oh, you think he starts?
Actually, I'm going to change that to Ian hat-trick.
I don't know why I got you on there. I don't know what you're
absolutely
a shocker. You think 70 million for Harvey Barnes, and you think Dijk will get a hat-trick off the bench. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Got to get Grizz back. It's Grizz. 3-1. Okay, you've gone with 3-1. Don't worry about the goal scorers. I think it'll be 2-0 win for Leicester. I think they'll get the job done quietly. I think Tielemans, surprisingly that he's still there, Conor. No one's taken the bait and offered Leicester what they wanted from him. I think 60 was the talk for Yuri Tielemans, but it seems as if no one's budged. Moving swiftly on, Everton. Rafa Benitez's Everton versus Southampton. Southampton are decimated. I mentioned it yesterday. There's talk of James Ward-Prowse, who's looking at his future, and there's talk that Villa might, Villa are lurking. But Everton versus Southampton, how are we looking for this one? Do you think Everton get the home win in front of the fans?
Yeah, but I don't think it'll be pretty. Rafa Benitez sides typically aren't. I don't think Everton have the players in their side to play, expansive, progressive football. So I think, I'm seeing an excellent comment there from Chris. 5-0 versus Fulham. Was that the one you? Mario Lamina.
I'm shocked.
Is he
when it comes to, no, it was Lamina. Yeah, it was a good goal actually. When it comes to Liverpool predictions, I'm absolutely awful. But hey, listen, we'll come to predictions afterwards. But go on with the Everton Southampton.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be pretty. I think Benitez sides, as I say, typically aren't. And Everton don't really have a quality playmaker. They got some good players. James, I don't think he wants to be at the club anymore. And I think it would be in their best interest to not play him because he clearly, and has stated as much in interviews, his heart is not at the club. He said he joined for Ancelotti and Ancelotti is now left. So where does that leave him? I think it'll be a 1-0 gritty win. Maybe a goal from a corner or something like that. But yeah, I can't see Southampton offering much because they haven't replaced Danny Ings adequately yet. You know, they got Armando Broja from Chelsea. Did they sign someone?
Livramento, wasn't it? Livramento?
Yeah, he's a right back though.
How have you pronounced that?
Livramento, as it says on the tin.
Livramento is that?
He's English, for God's sake. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't worry. He doesn't need to be English. He's Italian now. Livramento. That's how you should pronounce it. Only because he's English doesn't mean that's an English name, is it? Livramento. Who do you know that's got Livramento? It's an Italian name. You know, it's Italian or it's Portuguese, so it must have some ancestry.
I was thinking Russian, but anyway, besides the point. But yeah, I don't know. 1-0 for me. 1-0 Everton in a gritty, boring game. Don't know. If anyone in the country will be watching this one.
I'm going to go 2-1. I think it will be a typical Rafa Benitez performance. I know he's told James that he can go and find a club. It'll be interesting to see what he's done with Moise Kean, whether he's told him that he's surplus to requirements. But I think Rafa will I think Rafa will do well with Everton, Conor. I think they'll be 7th, maybe pushing for 6th. I wouldn't sleep on Everton. I know they haven't invested this season as much, but I think the players that he has got, Rafa, I think he'll get a tune out of them. He'll make them defensively solid. He'll make them slightly pragmatic too. I think he'll do well. I think he'll do really well. 6th or 7th that I'm going for. Kevin Ball makes a great point. Southampton are in big trouble. Lost their best player in Ings. Their best centre-back too as well. Yeah, Vestergaard and Ings. We'll come on to Ings as well. I think it's great business to what Villa are doing. But there you go. Laura Duffy. See, there you go. Livramento. His family
strikes again.
His family is Portuguese. There you go. I was right. You don't say Livramento, do you? Like typical, Anyway. We'll get on. Avy, too much blue. The bar at the bottom needs to be red and names in chat red. I will change it. It is too much blue. Chelsea blue. That's what I'm seeing. Paul Smith, influence. Thank you for joining us. Chris Brack, I couldn't agree more with you, Avy. Avy, start with the predictions. I won't predict the Liverpool game, though. We'll move swiftly on. Watford versus Villa. I want to talk about Villa. Great business. Jack Grealish is gone, but the money that they invested in Ings, Leon Bailey. They've got in. Who else have they got in? You're gonna have to remind me now. What else? What other transfer business have they done?
Emi Buendia.
Brilliant
signing. Yeah, I think he'll really be very good in the Premier League. He was the standout player in the Norwich side alongside Cantwell and Pukki. Last time they were up a couple of years ago, but I think he's come into his own. Last season in the Championship, he was by far the MVP in the Championship, I think. So I think he'll really shine for Villa. Got him on my fantasy team, which we'll talk about later on.
Do you think because Buendia has been in the Premiership before that he would have learned from that experience? And I know he's taken a year out in the Championship and he put up some great numbers. Do you think that will keep him in good stead for this coming season? And you think he's in your fantasy football team, so you obviously rate him highly.
Yeah.
But not that I take much notice of your fantasy team because I've seen it, so it's an absolute shocker. But
we'll
do
see.
you reckon he'll be one to look out for this season? Because you'll have Douglas Luiz around him. You'll have obviously Leon Bailey on the other wing. Then they've got Ing, got hardworking McGinn.
Watkins as well.
Watkins,
Person Traore.
I'm a big fan of Dean Smith. I like his football. I like their model too. Again, great model. I know he's got JT as number 2, but do you think Villa get the win tomorrow at the Vicarage Farm Road?
Yes, I do. I think Watford might surprise a few this year, actually. They were incredibly solid last year. They kept a clean sheet, in fact, I think it was over half of their league games. So they're a solid team at the back. They've got some decent players. Another one we'll talk about when we move on to the fantasy aspect. Ismaila Sarr, a name that strikes fear into the hearts of every Liverpool fan in the comments.
I would have taken him a couple of seasons ago, but we went for Jota. It's fine. The less said, the better. Yeah. I don't think we will complain that we got Jota. I think we got the better player in the end. But yeah, Sarr did bring some nightmares. I remember that game. He scored 2 against us. But hey, let's move on. So Villa tomorrow?
Yep, for me, I think 2-0. 2-0 Villa.
I'll go with 2-1. I fancy Watford getting a goal. And then your boys tomorrow at home to Palace. A new look, Patrick Vieira Palace. They've brought in Guehi from Chelsea.
Guehi, Joachim Andersen from Fulham.
Eze's back, I think.
Yeah, I know he had an injury towards the tail end of last season, but I think he might have recovered from that by now. Obviously, Wilf Zaha has been their standout player for quite some time. I don't know if Nathan Ferguson is back, their young right back that they signed. I can't remember who from. I'm sure Laura Duffy will remind me in the comments. But they're building a really nice squad. I know they had a lot of players that departed as free agents. They had to do a pretty significant rebuild. I know they brought in Conor Gallagher, again, another Chelsea loanee who required that next step up. I think Palace are a different caliber of team from West Brom. They was playing it last season. So I think they've recruited young. I think they've recruited well. And I think it's difficult to predict with Vieira because he is a bit of an unknown quantity, and he didn't do too well towards the end of his Nice spell. He started off well, but he sort of lost the dressing room a little bit. So he's a bit of an unknown quantity. But we shall see. But I think they've done a good job recruitment-wise. We will be knackered from 120 minutes in the Super Cup.
Oh, stop it. You've got a big enough squad. You've got 3 fit squads, 3 fully fit squads that can easily contest the league. Just stop with this bollocks now. Chelsea are going to... No, come on. No, you've spent good money. You've got in Lukaku. You expect a challenge. Don't give me this that you're going to be tired from the Super Cup.
Please, remember.
Amount of games the season that we won the league. Right, went to Qatar, beat Flamengo in the final, came back, beat Leicester within 48 hours, we absolutely obliterated them 4-0 and went on to win the league. So let's stop the excuses. Chelsea Palace, give me a scoreline, please.
Scrappy 2-1 to the Chelsea.
Wow. I'm going to go with a 1-1. One player to look out for, people, and put him in your fantasy football team. Very much liked by Vitos Matos and Alex Inglethorpe, Michael Olise of Reading, who's joined obviously now Palace. He's a top quality player. I think he'll be a very good signing, shrewd signing, good bit of business from Reading as well. Jimmy Hill says Eze's out for the year. Can someone confirm that? Because I've got Bracky saying that Eze's going to score an equaliser, and I've got Jimmy Gill telling me that he's out for the year. So if someone can just confirm that. I know you had a nasty injury, but can we confirm that? Ashley Parker, my dear friend for a long time, 2-0 Chelsea. He's a Chelsea fan. Kevin O'Sullivan, come on, Kev, 3-0. Delwyn Jones, thank you. Coming in. Oh, yeah, there we go. R. Allison, Olise is a top player, and he has confirmed, I think that's confirmation that Eze is injured for the year. And Chris Brack, the prankster that he is, he's making it up. Guys, please like and subscribe to the channel. All likes and subscribes help. It is my second show. I'm still nervous. Delwyn Jones, hit the like buttons, guys, for Avy, so we can get to the WWE topic. WWE might be next week, as I will be commenting from there. So the last game for Saturday, I won't be covering too much of City and Tottenham because I don't really care for City. But Norwich versus Liverpool, Connor. Just give me a score prediction. And do you think Virgil van Dijk starts tomorrow?
Yes, I think Virg starts. Who starts with him remains to be seen. I'd like to see Konate. But, I mean, your centre-back options, you went from last year starting Reece Williams and Nat Phillips to now...
Fabinho and Hendo at one point did a stint there.
Yeah, I mean, it was shambolic at points. But, I mean, then you have Virg fully fit, Matip, who I still view as maybe one of the top 5 centre-backs in the league, Gomez, and now Konate. I mean, you got some excellent options there, don't you? How they keep them all happy, that's another question. But I mean, you got some quality options here, and for me, you should be challenging for the title again this year. And if
we will be. We will be. No, we will be. Don't worry about that, son. We will be, son. Don't worry about that. What are you thinking? Scoreline? Scoreline and goal scorers, please.
3-1, and I'll say Salah gets a couple. Billy Gilmore with a long range beauty for Norwich.
Has he got a future at Chelsea? Or do you think that he'll... I think Norwich is a great move for him, by the way. I think Parquet will get the best out of him. I think he loves playing expansive football. He's a controller around that middle, Billy Gilmore. He played well against us in that FA Cup game, I remember. He was brilliant that game, but he sort of stagnated, didn't get enough game time. Obviously, now he's become a Scottish international. I think it's pivotal now, the next sort of year and year up. You guys do this a lot. Josh McCracken was a Chelsea starlet and just went on loans and loans and loans. I think VS Boas gave him a bit of a chance, but Billy Gilmore, quick word on him. Does he make it at Chelsea?
Yes, I think so. And I think that's shown by the sort of how meticulously we've picked out his loan. We wanted someone that played with the double six, as Chelsea do, with two in the middle, not necessarily one holder, one aggressor. And Farke in his Norwich side will do that. I know they've picked up some good players this summer. And I think Gilmour seems to be a mainstay in their side, as indicated by their pre-season fixtures anyway. We've very carefully picked a loan for him. And Tuchel has said specifically that he wants him to have a loan that provides him with a pathway to the first team at Chelsea. So I think he's very highly rated within the club. We just sold Lewis Bate to Leeds over summer, who's
very highly rated youngster.
Yeah, exactly.
There was slight interest from us as well, yeah.
Yeah, there was. And I don't think that was a decision that was made by us. I think that was our hand was forced because Bate would refuse to sign a contract and he only had 1 year left on his deal. Not that we got that much for him. But yeah, I think Billy does have a pathway. Kev raises an interesting point by comparing him to Ruben Loftus-Cheek, but I think they're very different in the fact that Loftus-Cheek is one of the most unique cases in terms of Chelsea youngsters. Apart from Fulham last year, he's remained at the club his entire Chelsea career, and that's what stunted his development. He didn't have the opportunities to go on loan and accrue minutes and gain an understanding of first-team football. He stayed in the reserves as a backup option, as a youth player knocking about the club. Whereas Gilmour he's hopefully going to play 30, 35 games this year in the league.
Easy.
So, I don't think they're really comparable, but who knows?
You should haven't given me a scoreline for tomorrow.
I did 3-1. I think Salah gets 2, long ranger from Billy Gilmour, and rogue shout, but I think Harvey Elliott starts and scores.
Wow. I'm going with 3-1 too. I'm going with 3-1, and I think the scorers will be Takumi Minamino, and I think Salah will get 2. I think Salah's going to get a goal tomorrow. Just want to bring up this point from Chris Black, Dom King reporting positive developments with Henderson's contract discussions. Klopp said it will get sorted, not a new signing, but still a big positive. And there's a lot of Olivier, typical. Billy Gilmour, future Vitesse legend. You still got that deal, have you, where you send them on? Because I remember Solanke did a stint out there. Mm-hmm. Van Ginkel, when you had Van Ginkel, he was going everywhere, wasn't he, around Europe? He had a little stint
from Vitesse. Yeah, but then it's a two-way partnership. I don't know if we've got anyone there this season. That might be the first season for about 10 years that we haven't sent someone to Vitesse. Last year we had Armando Broja, who was there. He's gone to Southampton.
Good player. He's a good player. Yeah, Albanian, isn't he?
Teenager in Europe.
He's the Albanian, isn't he? Top player. Top player.
Good young lad. Yeah.
We're going to move it swiftly to, and I don't want to spend again a lot of time on this one, but literally you've got 2 minutes for this. Your quick recap of the Super Cup. I saw bits of it. I thought Villarreal should have won it, but Kepa, surprisingly, a hero for once in a penalty shootout. Your thoughts? Another collection for Tuchel. Now, I think the World Club Championship. I don't know where that's being held. But Japan again. So fly out to Japan. Could that disrupt your title aspirations? And what do you make of the Super Cup? Do you regard it as a trophy or just a meaningless friendly between the winners of the Europa League and Champions League?
For me, it's simple. When you win it, it's European silverware. When you don't, it's a glorified champion community shield. And it's as simple as that. And we won it, so we'll add it to our European silverware collection. I think it's setting a nice precedent with Tuchel. We've got a really, really bad start to the Prem this season, playing City, Arsenal, Liverpool, all in quick succession. So I think getting that win under the belt will do wonders for confidence. But it was a nice game. Well, the first half was nice. Second half, not so much. We lost control of it completely. One of those tale of two half type games. But it was nice to see a redemption arc for Kepa. And he's not my favourite player. And I'm not a huge fan of his personality and the sort of, the impact that he's had at the club and the fee that he cost and the wages that he's paid and his reluctance to move and things like that. But it's always nice because he has gone through a pretty torrid time in the last year or so. He made some pretty calamitous errors, and to see him, come full circle after do you remember the Carabao Cup final a couple of years ago when he refused to come off under Sarri?
Yeah, for Sarri, yeah. Because Willie was going to come on, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly the same thing was going to happen to him. Yeah, and now he's been brought on. It would have been awful if he hadn't saved a few of those penalties. And
he should have refused to come on this time and just let the goalkeeper that was Mendy. He should have just done that. I don't really get that. I know it was a trend from Tim Krul, wasn't it, in the World Cup with Holland? I think it was Van Gaal who sort of brought him on in the World Cup. I don't know where it was. Was it Rio? Where he 2014 was that the World Cup where Tim Krul just kept going up for the penalty shootouts for Holland, and obviously they kept winning. But I think it stems from there, and now it's all of a sudden like the 119th minute, 118th minute, the goalkeeper who's second, if he's good, if he's better than the number one goalkeeper. I think we should try that maybe sometimes with Kelleher and Alisson, because Alisson's penalty record is quite shocking. I think he's only saved Jorginho's in recent times. Last season in the league, but we'll move swiftly on. But yeah, no, congratulations, begrudgingly. Sam Dandy comes with a point saying Super Cup is a bigger trophy than Carabao Cup, in my opinion. I don't think I wouldn't argue that. I really wouldn't argue that. Transfer news, quick recap. Conor, Messi finally becomes a Parisian. What do you make of the deal? Are they now the Harlem Globetrotters? Do you see big personalities now, isn't there? Neymar, Messi,
yeah, huge.
Mbappe, Verratti can be a bit of a troublemaker. Ramos. What do you make of this PSG setup? And Poch has no choice, right? He's got to deliver the big one, which is the European Cup. Otherwise, he'll get the sack, won't he? Even if they do the domestic treble.
Yeah, I mean, Big is on the menu, and if he doesn't get it,
brilliant.
He's
brilliant
out.
From Kev.
Yeah, he's right, though. I mean, the club, they brought into big personalities, and it's very difficult to see it all remaining harmonious. PSG have notoriously been a club where there has been sort of a lot of friction between big personalities. But I think with Messi in the club, no one can complain, even if you've got Mbappe, who seems to be a serial moaner. And I love the kid, and I think he's got bags and bags of ability, and he's got the ability to be the best. And I think undoubtedly he will be the best in the world once Messi and Ronaldo retire. But some of the things that I've heard in the past about him, you know, having difficulties with the players in his club for not passing the ball to him enough, or I know he had a few outbursts over the summer and the Euros with Giroud not passing to him enough and things like that. It's just not indicative of a player who, you know, to be at the top. I know you need that ruthlessness and that selfishness, but it's difficult to see him really progressing to the top without, you know, getting on and gelling with the teammates around him. But interestingly, I don't know where Messi plays. Where do you see him? Does he play false nine with Mbappe on the right? Does he stick to the right wing?
That's a good question. I think he plays on a false nine position. I think he'll play in the 9. I really do. And then Mbappe on the left. Neymar will be Neymar. You presume that he starts on the right, but I wanted to allude, surely they have a bit of a quick fire sale. I mean, players like Julian Draxler, who are floating around, Icardi, you know, Mario Icardi is a special case. The less said about him, Wanda and Maxi Lopez, the better. But there'll be a few quick short fire sales at PSG. Won't there? There's some good players there who are just on the peripheral. You know, Ander Herrera, does he fit in PSG anymore? Could he come back to the Premiership and do a job maybe at a Spurs or even in Arsenal? Or, you know, there's going to be a whole host of players. I think someone made a good point. They've got to win the league first. That's good. That's right. They Lille won it last season. I thought they were impressive, but yeah, Poch surely's got to make a fist of it in the Champions League this season, Conor. I don't think.
Yeah.
You know, I think if they don't make it to the final, if they don't win it, I think his job's, even though he's a PSG sort of legend, played there back in the day, I think his job would come under serious threat. But no, he's become a Parisian. For some people, they still can't believe it. He was a passer boy throughout. I know they helped him when he flew over from Rosario with, I think he had a issue with his height, wasn't it? And, you know, they help pay for that. It's some medical stuff. So no, it's a move for him. He's going to get paid a nice little wedge, probably for the next 2-3 years. He'll retire happily, and then maybe do a stint back in Rosario, Argentina. He might go back to Argentina. But yeah, I would expect them to I'd expect him to make a fist of it. But Laura Duffy makes a good point. Having a team full of the best players doesn't necessarily mean you are the best team. We saw that with the Galacticos back in the day. Real Madrid, when they used to get by the Figos, the Zidans, the Beckhams, the Robinhos, the Robins. It doesn't always work out. But no, it'll be interesting to see. Olivia again makes a great point. Can't wait for Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe not tracking back. I hope Genie brought his running shoes to Paris. That's a good point. We know they won't track back, but boy, if they get going up top straight away from the first 15-20 minutes, they could literally blow teams apart. But yeah, we'll move swiftly on with that topic. We'll do a quick recap of transfer news, and this will be a quick one, Connor. Which team for you in the Premiership has impressed you with the transfer business? Who's sort of taking the limelight? You know, Arsenal have got Lokonga in, and they brought in Ben White. Talks or maybe Bissouma again. Chelsea have only got Lukaku. I'll say only. I think they didn't need that much. Maybe a centre back. I think Kunde maybe gets done. Spurs, Romero, I think is a brilliant signing for them from Atlanta. I think Liverpool with Konate and maybe one or two more in. I think one more now, possibly coming in. Man City with Jack and possibly Harry Kane. I would expect that to pick up in the next week. It will be interesting to see if Harry Kane plays against City. I don't think he will, but it'll be very interesting to see if he's on the bench. I think that'll be a big. I think we'll know more if that move is likely. But who do you think? I've been impressed with Villa. I'm not going to lie. I think they've brought well. I think they've invested well. They've got a great set of lads, and I think Dean Smith. I think they can make a push for it in the top 7, top 6 this season.
Potentially, but I don't think they'll come too close to challenging the top 6. I think they'll maybe scrape in the top half again. But I think we're understating the importance that Jack Grealish had to that side and the void that's going to be left and the differences in their sort of build-up play and the sort of players that play around him. I think they're really going to struggle to acclimatise to life without Jack. But they picked up some good players, and I think picking up Ings without any fuss was a quality acquisition.
Out of the blue, wasn't it? Absolutely out of the blue.
Honestly, I wish transfer business happened more and more like that, because the excitement that happened around that, when I saw that happen, I was mind blown because there wasn't that build up. And with the Lukaku transfer for Chelsea, speaking from my own perspective, it kind of became underwhelming. I know a £97 million prolific striker, top 3 in the world.
You're used to it, aren't you? You're used to spending that amount. Well, so I think every signing under 100 million is underwhelming for you boys anyway. But yeah, go on, carry on.
I mean, bear in mind, he's our record signing, so we've never spent over 100 million. But that's not me biting to your bait. Anyway, I think I would like to see a lot more transfers announced without the sort of the hysteria around them, you know, like it used to happen back in the day when, you know, you'd see a report. I remember when Fernando Torres was announced, there was a little bit of, you know, bubbling conversation for a day or two, and then boom, £50 million bid, deadline day. Torres is ours. Not that that proved to be successful by any stretch of the imagination.
He was finished by then.
Yeah,
the knee injury didn't help. But no, I do like business. Another point, Leicester have done great business as well, Connor. I think
I don't like Vestergaard. I'll say that. I don't think Vestergaard is a quality enough signing for them.
Do you think he's good for them, though? Do you think he's good for Leicester, though, alongside Soyuncu? I mean, Wesley Fofana was absolutely brilliant last season. He was the shining star in that Leicester team alongside the Tillemans. They were good last season, but I thought Wesley Fofana was absolutely brilliant. I never knew he was 6'3". He looks so short on TV, whether I'm watching on the iPad or on my TV, but he's 6'3", Wesley Fofana. But hope he gets better. But you're not a big fan of Vestergaard, no?
No, because I don't think him and Soyuncu does enough against those sort of nippy strikers that will be in and around their feet and moving quickly. They don't really have the mobility in the sort of turning circle to be able to. Yeah, I mean, R. Allison recommends it and recommends a good point. I think Kabak would have been better as well. I think he would have partnered with Soyuncu. You know, they've got the nationality bond there as well. Communication is an underrated aspect of building a solid defensive line. So I think that would have been.
He's gone to Monchi Seville now, Kabak. I think that's near enough done. Yeah, I think they're putting the finishing touches to that move. Very low fee as well. It's a typical Monchi signing. So, you know, we talk about Michael Edwards, but Monchi is the original, isn't he, at Seville? He just used to churn out talent after talent after talent. But yeah, Kabak would have been a good signing for them. But no, I think they've done well with that. But I actually like him. I think he's good. I think he's dangerous on set pieces as well. And for Leicester, I think he'll do a job for them. But Sam Thandi makes another good point. I think for the price and due to Fofana injury, Vestergaard is a good signing for them. I think especially because they seem vulnerable on set plays, he's very good in the air. Good point. Man United, have they done good business?
Yes, but they haven't filled holes. If you've still got Fred and McTominay, yeah, I do rate McTominay. I think he's a good player in certain occasions and certain situations. But I think if you still got them as your starting two in midfield, you've got a hole that needs to be plugged. I think Fred is really unspoken about as a £60 million signing. 60 million quid he cost. and I've never seen him take a game by the scruff of the neck or influence it for the positive. I've seen him have a negative influence on a game, that's for sure. But yeah, if you've got Fred starting, I think you've still got a glaring hole. I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think they need a 9, but I think they're probably waiting for Haaland. If they don't get Haaland, then I don't know. They'll wait and see if a new 9 crops up. Patrick Bamford, I think, would be brilliant for them. Oh, come on. Don't give me a chuckle. He's a top player. I didn't take him to replace Firmino?
Technically, he's good. Oh, come on, Connor. I'll get you out of the stream if you want. No. He's technically a good player, Bamford. He's another one who he just had an arm around the shoulder from Bielsa, and sometimes you need that. Sturridge was similar, not in players, but in terms of just need a bit of a shoulder, and Brendan was there to provide it, and he's scoring goals. You look at likes of Kelechi Iheanacho, momentum. He's playing more games, he's scoring goals. I think Bielsa's done wonders for Bamford. He does miss the clearest of chances. He could have scored 20 plus last season for Leeds, but I think Leeds might go in for a quality player, but not for United. Come on, Bamford. I think they'll target someone like a Haaland, like you say. I don't think Haaland as much, but I think they'll keep tabs on a few players next season. I think there's a few talents coming out of Germany that United will keep an eye on. I want to quickly, because I know we're going to miss out on some topics today, but I want to quickly go on this sort of craze over the last sort of 5 to 10 years. Fantasy football, very popular amongst youngsters, my age, men older than me, women older than me, just love playing this game. I'm not a big fantasy football fan. I played in one tournament with my friends back home. I won it. So one and done. That's my record. Never again. I just don't get the time to literally on a Thursday night or a Friday night go and pick players out and take players in and all these super changes, super subs, and you've got cash left over, 1.5, go and spend it on this. But I'm going to chuck 3 nuggets out there, and I'll chuck in 3 nuggets every week if teams want to, make some changes, providing that there's no games on a Friday. Bloody hell. But my 3 nuggets for this season, and I was going to say this earlier on, but I couldn't, but Sergi Canos was one. I think he'll get a few goals for Brentford. Another one is one of your fellas, Andres Christensen. I think he'll have a good season. I think he'll get starts at a Tuchel. I think last season you were starting to see the real Christensen, because when he was out loan in Germany, he was at Mönchengladbach. Am I right?
Well done. Good knowledge.
Yeah. Superb season. Came at Chelsea and, amidst changes at Chelsea, the managers and whatnot, his form didn't really pick up, but I think he's a top quality defender. And Leon Bailey, I'm going with him. I think he'll get over 10 goals. I think he'll get over 10 goals and he'll be a
good return. Very good return.
Bailey is one to watch out for. He's got blistering pace. And under Dean Smith, I think it's key that he's gone to Dean Smith. Dean Smith likes to develop players and he gives young players a chance. He will give them a go. He won't drop them after a game or two. And he's had a great season last season, 2 years, in the peripheral at Bayer Leverkusen, in and out of the team, a few injuries. But last season, he was a really good player. But those are my 3 nuggets: Christensen, Sergi Canos, and Leon Bailey. Yeah,
some decent shouts in there. I don't think Christensen's much of a nugget. I mean, come on, he's an established player who's been playing for a long time now.
No, but anyway. I've not seen anyone put him in fantasy. I've seen fantasy teams on Twitter floating around, and no one's put Christensen in. So here's my pick. Have you put Christensen in?
No, have you put
him? There you go. Then he's your player. And have you put Liverpool players in?
Yes, I put a few in, but the reason... Would you listen to my rationale? All right. The reason for it is because people have a more in-depth understanding of fantasy than people like
you. This is exactly the reason. Ghost has made a great point. And this is why when I did play, the one and only time I played and I won that tournament, I didn't play any Man United players. I despise Manchester United as a club. I don't think much of their fans, but I didn't put any Manchester United players in. And that's how you should play it. Like, how can you... can you name me the Liverpool players? Have you put 1 or have you put 3 in?
I've got Tsimikas, and I've got Salah, and that's it.
So you're expecting a Tsimikas assist and Salah to score a bag of you tomorrow?
No, I'd hope that Liverpool lose, obviously, because rivalries and competition.
So Tsimikas gets no points for a clean sheet. Am I right?
Don't care. I don't mind.
Okay.
I don't mind.
I bet you'd care if there was money riding on it. If there was like a 10 grand prize for fantasy football.
My league's a £20 buy-in with over 10 people, so there's a bit of
so £200 is it to get your sort of clothes and stuff at the end of the summer? Can't do your shopping at your shops,
Pay the bills, mate. But no, because
so you'll be
they'll always override, the benefit that you get from fantasy football. If Liverpool score, I'll be like, oh, shite, Liverpool have scored. But if it's Salah who scored and I've got him in my team, at least it's a little bit, there's a saving grace there, every cloud, So it's not like it overrides those rivalries or the desire to beat other teams or to climb the table or things like that. It's just a little sort of silver lining in the cloud of Liverpool winning. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
But anyway, my 3 nuggets. I've gone with 4 actually. I've been cheeky. I've gone with 4.
You get 3. You get 3 and that's it. Go on.
Well, I will say 4 and there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay. Go on.
I
like it. I like it.
Like you said about Sergio Ramos.
Surprised you haven't gone with him. I think he's everyone's banker, even United fans' banker, isn't he, Trent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't have the money for it personally because I've got a few big hitters in midfield. But anyway, that's beside the point. Anyway, my 4 nuggets. I, like you, have gone for a Brentford player, and I'm a bit peeved because if I'd picked him before this game, everyone would have said, oh, what amazing foresight. Brian Mbeumo, right wing, left wing, can alternate between the two. I think he'll get a lot of assists and a few goals this season. Very cheap on fantasy, and he's going to be a regular in the Brentford team who score quite freely. So I think he's a good shout for a budget option, good differential. I've gone for, as I mentioned earlier in the pod, Ismail Assar. I think Watford will be quite solid defensively. So if you want to pick up someone like Daniel Bachmann, their keeper, or Kiko Femania, then they'll probably deliver some points on clean sheets against the lesser sides, maybe some attacking returns from Kiko. But yeah, I think Ismail Assar will get you some points in attacking returns. Good player, maybe sort of approaching Champions League quality, might evolve into that sort of breed in the next couple of years. And then my other 2, I was undecided between the 2, so I thought I'd go for them both. I mentioned him earlier as well, Harvey Elliott. I think my prediction is that he will stick with Liverpool this year. I think he's above Shaq in the pecking order, and I think he'll get minutes.
Shaq's gone.
Well, no, there's not an offer that's acceptable yet. Liverpool holding out for 7 million.
We'll get rid of him. Trust me, we'll get rid of him before this window closes.
Yeah, well, regardless, I think Elliott stays.
So you think Elliott will get enough game times for goals, assists? You think he can have that much of an impact, do you?
Yeah, I think so. And especially with, Jota's a left-sided player and a central player. I don't think you have a backup for Salah. And he's normally quite reliable, Salah, in terms of injuries. He doesn't really get many, but he's aging. And Harvey Elliott's a good succession player to have. And I think he is an exceptional player and an exceptional talent. So I would have him in my team. And my other left field shout would be Jack Harrison. Maybe a bit more known, but he plays for a free scoring Leeds side. A bit less spoken about than Rafinha because he's sort of Brazilian and he wears his socks up high and he does fancy step overs and flicks and tricks. But I think Jack Harrison's a quality player. They finally bought him on a permanent transfer from City this summer. So I think getting Jack Harrison in your team, I don't know his specific price. I'd say maybe sort of 6.57 million, something like that. But he'd be a good shout, I'd say.
I think Souček's a good one because he scored quite a fair few goals last season for West Ham. Good on set pieces as well.
Purple patch.
I think Rafinha will have a good season. I know he got only 7 league goals last season, but another year under his belt in the Premiership. I think he will get around 10 to 15 goals next season, Connor. I'm looking forward to Rafinha, but those are our 3 picks of the week. You picked 4, I picked 3. Next week, we'll go in depth about this fantasy football because I know a lot of people enjoy playing this amongst groups. I know in the WhatsApp groups that I'm involved in, the Liverpool ones, everyone's putting in codes and whatnot to join. But Ghost, even your boy Bamford, he could have a good season again. Yeah, Kevin O'Sullivan can't also worth a punt. I know Chris Brack is playing, and there's a prize as well. With the group that we're in, I've offered to buy them a special edition Tanner's Gin Bowl. It's a Dalglish edition. So whoever wins it, they should be taking it seriously because I will be offering. That's the golden prize at the end of the season. Chris Brack, no taggy pick. Avy, no, he's coming next week. I don't think. I think he might start tomorrow. But listen, I shouldn't go with any team predictions or lineups for tomorrow. So moving swiftly on, and we've got literally 5 minutes. A quick recap. There's so much to talk about, but a quick recap, guys, on the UFC recap. We called it, didn't we? Cyril Gane against Derek Lewis. We did call it. I called it within 2, but he got the job done in 3. You said 4/5, but like you said, he was picking his shots against Derek Lewis. Wasn't troubled. Loved the way he was switching his stances. His movement was brilliant. His kicking was brilliant too. And seemingly, it does seem that they're trying to build this fight up now. Cyril Gane versus Francis Ngannou. Talk to me, Connor. Do you think Gane stands a chance? Do you think his elusiveness stands a chance against Ngannou, or do you think Ngannou just goes straight through him?
I think it would be a much better fight than Gane versus Lewis. A much more even fight and a much more entertaining bout. But I mean, what can I say? The two of us were absolute oracles. We predicted it spot on. We said that Gane just had the technical ability and proficiency to outclass Lewis. And I'm really glad that now we can sort of put to bed this sort of cliche of, oh, well, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. But my prediction is Lewis KO, because he'll just land that one shot. Because we've seen that there are heavyweights that can go.
You mean Ngannou?
No, I'm
you
saying
said Lewis.
Yeah, I'm saying we can put to bed the myth that, not a myth, but the sort of idea that Lewis can just, be dominated in a fight, but then still win. Of course, it can happen, but that last fight just showed that there are fighters that can outclass him technically and avoid him. I think Gane's range management was so brilliant, and his shot selection and his sort of variation was so brilliant in that fight. He absolutely dominated him. I think against Ngannou, it will be a completely different prospect. But I think, I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting one. For me, I think Gane takes it.
I was going to say the same thing. I think Gane can take it. Gane's groundwork's good as well. And I'm not sure. I'm calling him Gane. Gane's groundwork is great. And I don't think Ngannou yet. I think his ground game is very limited. It will depend on how much development he's had. But he can still get caught. He got caught against Miocic, but he's just power just literally just took Miocic out. The way they were swinging, it could have gone either way, but fair play to Ngannou. I think it would be a great fight. I think that's the fight they need to make, because there's no chance of a super fight between John Jones and Francis Ngannou. I think John Jones is in that Conor territory now where he's demanding a lot, and Dana White ain't budging. So that will be interesting developments. Guys, we will be talking about SummerSlam next week. I will be reporting from Las Vegas. I will be hosting hopefully next week. I'm just trying to sort out some things with the hotel, but we will be doing an in-depth chat on the WWE SummerSlam event. I'll be there on the Saturday as well. But just also a quick one, Connor, there's the England-India cricket test match that's going on. We literally tell India this is the second test. So the first test was a draw, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, the typical British rain got in the way and we had a draw. I'm surprised you're not more invested in this, being sort of.
I've fallen out of love with cricket ever since sort of. For me, cricket, like KP, the treatment of Kevin Peterson when he got dropped and the Strauss stuff that was going on, I just fell out of love for cricket. And from there on in, like the 2020, I'm not a big fan of 2020. I can see how it appeals to fans. I can see the excitement of it. But for me, it takes the true essence out of a cricket sort of player. I love Test match cricket. I used to love the Ashes, the India-Pakistan series. When England used to visit the West Indies, great series. But now it's a bit, it's not for me anymore. But yeah, so in India were 364 all out in the first innings, and England are currently on 113 for 3. And they're playing at Lords. I think we'll get a result here. I think India, I fancy India here to win the second test. Conor, not sure how you feel, but
yeah, I agree. I think England just don't have the sort of ability really, or the batting power in their upper order. I think, players like Dom Sibley, Zach Crawley, just not good enough. We've got Joe Root, who's our only outstanding batsman. We've got players bang out of form. Johnny Bairstow, can't remember the last time he posted a big score in white ball in red ball cricket.
Who's that fella, that all-rounder who won the World Cup last time for England? He's a really good player. Ben Stokes. Yeah, is he suffering? He's taking
out
a year out.
Mental health grounds. So you can't knock him for that.
No, of course not.
I think he lost his dad recently to COVID. So yeah, it's obviously a time where he needs to recoup and bring himself take himself away from the spotlight. That pressure on him really, really must be massively detrimental. If you can imagine you're in a negative place and you've got the entire media scrutiny on you. He's done a great job to remove himself from that. And I think that is going to set a precedent really for elite sportsmen to be able to take themselves out of the spotlight. Simone Biles, we saw do the same thing in the Olympics. But yeah, I can't imagine or envisage England turning this one around. Really, I don't think they have the batting power. I think they're too reliant on Joe Root, and I think their middle and tail aren't strong enough. With the ball, they were impressive in both tests. I think it was great to see Jimmy Anderson pick up another fifer today. I mean, that guy.
He's got a fair few wickets now, and he's 600 plus.
Yeah, definitely 600 plus. I think he's over 700 now. Maybe he's just overtaken Anil Kumble. I think he's definitely the most.
No, it's not Kumble, is it? It's Anil Kumble. Come on, get your pronunciation right.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, James Anderson. I tell you a story about James Anderson. It was 11:30 at night. He made his debut many years ago, and I stayed up because I used to love watching when the Ashes in Australia, because you could do it all nighter then. He made his debut, and I thought then I think he just picked up one wicket, but I thought this guy's going to be a player. He's going to be quite the bowler. And yeah, it seems as if he's 40 now. Must be 40 now.
Not quite. I think he's 37, 38. Thiago Silva territory, but still at the top of his game.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, this guy, in terms of fast bowlers, seam bowlers, you got Bumrah for India, who's
Jasprit
right
Bumrah.
Yeah. But I mean, Jimmy is just he's a goat, and there's no denying that.
There was another unfortunate cricket player, and you won't believe me, but I faced an over from him, and he was absolutely no. You won't believe this, Connor.
On, let's hear it.
Simon Jones. He was at Glamorgan. He was Welsh. Unfortunately, his dad was a cricketer as well, but unfortunately, he done his ACL and he was never the same. But this guy was literally, he was mega quick. He was like Sherb actor Brett Lee quick. That's how quick he was. Simon Jones.
Did he play in the 2005 Ashes?
Yeah, he did play in the Ashes, and it was in the same Ashes that he'd done his ACL, and he was never the same. His run-up had shortened as well, but he was a phenomenal player. He had a good period with England. I think it was in the Ashes in England when they won it. Him, Freddie, and I think there was another bowler as well. Not Hoggard, not Matthew Hoggard. There was another bowler. Steve Holmerson from Durham. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah. He was really good as well. But Simon Jones, I faced an over from him. Six balls, literally. I couldn't get anywhere near the ball.
I was going to say, how many times were you out? What,
he was 85 plus, and he didn't hold back either. He didn't hold back.
Well, that's what he wanted you to think. I mean, in reality.
Listen, look at this, Olivia, and we've got to shut down the show soon. But Avy's treating this poor fella the way Grizz treats him. Look at this. I've not bullied you. He's a Chelsea fan. What do you expect? I've got to give him a little bit flack, guys. But look, he's got a great reception. You know what? People, I think, enjoy your talk more than they enjoy me. They know that I waffle on. But no, you've had a great 2 shows. So Connor, just thank you for that. Look, just reiterating. Kevin O'Sullivan, yeah, he was rapid. He was absolutely amazing. And yeah, 90 plus. I'm telling you, Connor, this guy, he could have gone to the top. He was just very unlucky. Chris Brack with the facts again. Anderson, 39, all-time wicket taker for England. Jimmy, 3rd overall. Laura Duffy made a point, guys, and I'm going to leave it there because we can go on forever. And I think people want to get to beds, but one for Avy, 18-year-old US right back Joe Scally. He did make his debut for Gladbach tonight versus Bayern. Kept Sane quiet. I've actually got it on record, Laura. I want to watch the game again because people were raving about Florian Neuhaus in the first half. So I want to watch that game and see how they got on. But Connor, it's been another good show. Look, I just want to reiterate and say this. It's a work in progression. Me and Connor try to bring the best headlines that we can, the sporting stories. Gav is supporting us in this, so fair play to Gav. And we can just turn up and just churn out as much information as we can, the sporting stories for the week. Loving the support and the likes. Thanks for all the comments. Connor, any words from you? I do just want to quickly say, guys, Sienna, we're trying to get over her. We're trying to get her over to America for treatment, and we have a deadline, November, and we want to try and hit the 100K mark. I think it is the 100K mark or 120K mark let's get this little girl out to the US for treatment, and so that she can live a normal life. If you see her, she's always bubbly, very sort of always happy, and carrying on with life. But let's get her the treatment. We're doing everything we can, so please like and subscribe. Go on lfcdt.com and /shop, where you can, there's a Sienna range as well that we've done specifically for her. So please support and like and subscribe. Great show on Friday. Conor, last words?
Yeah, just really want to reiterate what you said about the support for Sienna. Obviously, it's an amazing cause, and it really doesn't take much to make a significant difference to that girl's quality of life and providing her the treatment that she really does deserve. So let's all come together. It'd be great to do this as a community, all come together and make a significant impact on a brilliant little girl's life. Do want to say thank you to all the people in the comments. Send in both pelters and compliments.
You get
Olivier,
you literally... You're getting no pelters, and look at this. Who's trying to? Who is this? Is this your girlfriend or something, Conor, or is that Justin Timberlake? Come on.
Last week I was getting Ben Chilwell, Justin Timberlake. Next week it'll be David Beckham.
You'll be crying me a river soon, but no, excuse the pun, but no, Conor, you've been great, and it's refreshing to see that. Look, we can get a Chelsea fan on. It's been nice. It's been a bit of banterous, on the comments, but nothing too strenuous or stressful, or no abuse. I've not had to block anyone. But it's been a great show. Next Friday, we are back. Same time. We'll be talking more about the boxing, more about wrestling next week. I will be at the Pacquiao fight as well. It's not against Errol Spence anymore. It's against a Cuban fighter, Ugas, which I'll still be going to. But it should be a good one. And we'll follow up. Let's see if our score predictions came true. Fantasy football, pick out another 3 nuggets, Conor. But that's us from the Trippers. Have a good one, people, and we shall see you next week. Thank you.